We've all been there. You remember sitting in English class, probably freshman or sophomore year, looking at the syllabus, going down the list of all the books you're probably not gonna read, but instead look at the SparkNotes summary for, and then you hit it. Hamlet. We've all read Hamlet, and if you say you didn't, then you're lying. Hamlet is regarded as Shakespeare's most famous plays, so it's no surprise that there are many different interpretations of the play. And it's no surprise that the most famous rendition of Shakespeare's Hamlet is Disney's The Lion King. Now, if you were to Google search what is Disney's most popular animated movie, any list you find, at least in the top 5, The Lion King is going to be on that list. Subsequently, if you look up most popular Broadway musicals, you are going to find The Lion King within the top 5. So, needless to say, a lot of people really like The Lion King. But on the opposite side of that spectrum, you have a lesser known, more niche movie, Haider. Now, as stated before, both of these movies stem from Hamlet, but they are both very different movies. One of these is a very nice coming-of-age story that's fun for the whole family. The other one is set during the 1995 Kashmir conflict and shows the brutalities of war. But the question I want to present is, which of these films stay true to the original source material? And to that, I have to give it to Haider. Haider stays true to the original themes of revenge and tragedy in Shakespeare's Hamlet as opposed to Disney's The Lion King, and that can be seen at the beginning and the turning point of both films. And by turning point, I'm referring to the father's death and how the main character reacts to it. But to understand the difference in both films, we have to look at the original source material, Hamlet. Now, I won't burden you by going to Wikipedia and looking up the plot summary to Hamlet, because I did the work so you don't have to. The basic gist of the story is that King Hamlet is killed by his brother Claudius, who then tasks Hamlet to avenge his death by killing his uncle. Hamlet then agrees, but is very hesitant on killing his uncle, which causes him to go into madness. And spoiler alert, Hamlet does kill his uncle, but Hamlet also dies to Laertes. Who's Laertes? No one cares. Now, the one thing both of these films have in common is the father's death, and it happens at the midpoint of both films. Let's take a look at the beginning of each film because they set the tones for each movie, and they are drastically different. In The Lion King, it opens with a beautiful sunrise with the Circle of Life playing in the background. All of the animals are rushing over to Pride Rock to see the birth of their new prince, Simba. Rafiki, Mufasa's advisor, presents Simba to the animals of the Pride Lands. This entire scene is short and gets the point across very well. It sets a more happy, upbeat tone, along with the very bright colors that it presents. Now let's take a look at Haider. And in this opening, could not be more different than what we just saw. Haider opens with a man being treated for an appendix explosion. The man being operated on is a commander of a pro-separatist militant group during the Kashmir conflict between India and Pakistan in 1995. Haider's father, Hilal, performs surgery on the commander at his own house. In the morning, a cordon and search operation begins, which requires all men to go down to the school grounds to be inspected. If suspicious, the driver will give a short horn beep indicating that this might be the man they're looking for. When it's Hilal's turn, he gets a long car horn, signifying that he's the one harboring a fugitive. The military group then captures Hilal and blows up his house, killing any terrorist inside. Now, the beginning of Haider is about 5 times longer than that of The Lion King, but it greatly sets the tone of the movie, which is very violent with a lot of muted colors, that this is not your typical family-friendly movie that you're going to enjoy. It definitely wants you to feel the disparity and the darkness of what's about to happen. Now let's take a look at the turning point in both films. In The Lion King, after Mufasa's death, Scar convinces Simba that Mufasa's death is his fault and banishes him from the Pride Lands. Simba then spends most of his growing up with Timon and Pumbaa under their motto, Hakuna Matata, which means no worries for the rest of your days. I'm sorry I had to do it. As Simba is living his best life with Timon and Pumbaa, not having to worry about anything, Rafiki and Nala both try to come and convince him to come back to the Pride Lands to take down Scar, but he refuses. He ultimately decides to go back when a ghost of his father appears to him and tells him he needs to go and avenge his death. Now let's take a look at Haider. Most of the movie is Haider spent looking for his father because it's unclear what happened to him. He learns of his father's death through a man named Rodar, who shared the same cell as his father and also suffered the same fate, but he happened to survive and his father didn't. Haider then goes from a quiet man that we've seen throughout the entire movie to a more erratic, insane person who tries to kill his uncle. And he does try to kill his uncle. Twice. But doesn't go through with it. After looking at these 4 scenes, it is very clear that Haider is still the one that stays true to Hamlet, not just in themes but also in structure. Hamlet and Haider both have the same beginning in a way because it shows the tragedy of the father, whereas in Hamlet he's already dead, but in Haider he gets captured to then get killed. Contrast that to The Lion King, where half the movie we still see Mufasa engaging with Simba, with Scar plotting his death, which again doesn't happen until halfway through the movie. In the end, both of these movies still stem from the same idea. One is just a kid's movie, and the other is a much more darker reality that I actually recommend a lot more. Now, if you haven't seen any of these movies, which if you haven't seen The Lion King, what are you doing with your life? But if you have not seen Haider, it's on Netflix, and I recommend you give it a watch. And you might like it, or you may not. It really just depends. With that being said, have a great night.